Hey everyone. All right, we've got a scene here where we've got lights coming from all different angles. We've got shade, we've got things hanging down, we've got all kinds of craziness going on here. So I thought this would be a good one to go over with you. So the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, as usual, get my composition in my camera height. Ceiling's a little bit taller than usual, so I've already got it to a decent height here, a little bit higher than normal. And I'm going to go ahead and get my composition locked in. Right? So now that we've got that done, what I'd like to do is I'm going to just show you around this scene just a little bit and show you what we're going to do and what we have to contend with. All right, so this is the angle that I'm taking the photo from. As you can see over here to the left, after we move the flash, is a little sunroom back there with light just pouring in. However, the big subject matter of our photo is going to be getting this dining area here, informal dining, along with the kitchen. Now, I've already done pictures of the kitchen already close up. This is just another photo that I want to do and give the realtor that captures everything, kind of shows the layout of the home. The only thing is, take a look over here at the kitchen area. It is basically in the shade. To the left, as we know, is already bright. And we can also see through that door right there, which is going to need to be lit as well. It'll be very dark because we'll be lighting this area. This is already lit. So if we don't light the area through that door, it's going to be dark. So we don't want that. Let's go around and look at this room for a moment. Plenty of natural light pouring through. Got these chairs. Got this little ledge here to eat on, and all that good stuff. So I can already see an awesome spot to hide a flash. We'll get into that next. So if we go back and look at our original scene again, and from the angle we're at, we can see that this pillar right here would make a great place to hide a flash so we can light up this area over here. Now, if you're saying, why light up that area over there? Because it's already got all that natural light. We'll still need to light it up. And I'm going to take care of that area over there. I could always put another flash over there, but I'm going to show you another method that we're going to use in Photoshop to light this area. So I'm only using 2 lights, using the one that I always hold, and I'm going to use this one right here on a stand. So nothing too complicated. So let's take this one first and get this one set up. All right, I'm going to take this flash, make sure it's on, and it's in manual, of course, so I'm going to try a 4th power here, and I'm going to hide it right in this little area here where the camera cannot see it and it won't fall off. Notice how high I have this as well. You don't want it too low where it throws flash in places you don't want it. I got it over the little ledge here. It's going to bounce off the white ceiling and we should be good there. All right, so I have my flash hidden back there. I have no flash back there. I'm going to take care of that a different way. So now we're going to get our camera settings. I can already tell you this, ISO 320 and the f-stop's at 7.1. What's new? All right, first thing I'm going to go through and look at the composition. I'm going to find something to focus on, and then I'm going to lock it in there, okay? Now that I have it locked, what I'm going to do is start taking photos, and I'm going to play with the shutter speed, okay? Here's how I'm going to handle this. I'm going to worry about just the kitchen in some of my shots and just the sunroom in the other shots. Then I'm going to worry about the shot through the doorway there, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my exposure for the kitchen area. So we'll get started with that first. What I'm going to do, let's see, now perfectly exposed, my camera's telling me is a 1/13 of a second. I'm going to go a little bit slower of a shutter speed than that to let in more natural light. So this part of the image is probably going to look like crap. I'm okay with that. So here we go. I'm going to go to a 1/4 of a second, add a little bit of flash to this. Now, because I'm so far back away from this scene, I'm going to turn up my flash just a little bit more than usual. Start with half power. I'm going to take multiple photos. It's just the way I do things. If I wasn't explaining all this, I could have this shot done in probably 45 seconds. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and bounce the flash off the ceiling. All right, and this was at 1/4 of a second at 7.1. As you can see, the kitchen is fairly lit. I'm going to go ahead and turn the shutter speed to 1/8 of a second. I'm going to do the same thing. Now what I'm going to do is go to 1/15 of a second. I'm just increasing the shutter speed, taking another photo. Now you can see the kitchen is getting darker. However, the sunroom is getting more into focus. Go to 1/30 of a second, take another one there, and then I'm going to go to 1/60 of a second. I like to have more photos than I actually need, so I can go through them. That is darkening things up pretty nicely. Then 1/100 of a second. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, since I have my windows exposed now, I'm going to go ahead and point the flash at the windows to light everything up. It helps me in post-processing. I'll show you this technique whenever we get into Photoshop. So I'm going to put the flash right where the camera is, point it at the windows. It's at 1/2 power. I don't really need 1/2 power for that. 1/4 power. And I'm lighting up all around the windows. And then there's this little area that I can see through here. Boom. Got that lit up. And now I'm going to do a ceiling shot. So I'm going to turn this shutter speed down to 1/5 of a second. Now I'm going to hold my flash at 1/2 power, really high. Take that photo, smooths out my ceiling, and then last but not least, I'm going to run over here and put it to 1/8 power and go in that little room back there and take a shot bouncing the flash off the ceiling in there. All right, as crazy as that all sounded, like I said, normally this would only take 45 seconds to whip through those, and we'll work on those when we get into Photoshop. All right, I have all the photos, all 10 of them that we just took, loaded into Adobe Raw. Now remember, I may take all these pictures. That doesn't mean I'm going to use all these pictures. Whenever I get in front of the computer, that's when I'm going to go through and look at each photo and see which ones and mark them that I want to use, and I'm going to explain what I'm looking at as I'm going through these. Okay, here is photograph number 1 at 1/4 of a second. I like it that it's bright over here, and of course this is all unusable over to the left. But I'm going to go ahead and Command 8 to mark that one as a keeper. I'm going to go down. Okay, it got a little bit darker, and I'm looking at this area in particular, and it's not dark enough for my next one that I want to blend. I'll explain as we blend. Okay, this one's a little bit darker. I'm going to use this one, and I'm only looking at this area right here. Now notice, don't like the ceiling here. We got too many shadows. This area over here sucks. Pretty much the whole rest of the kitchen over here sucks. I'm only choosing this picture for this area right here. So Command 8. All right, let's take a look at the next one. All right, on the next photo, still got crappy shadows, too dark over here. It's not looking too bad. I think I'm gonna, because at this point I'm looking at the little sunroom here. Let me click on the next one and just teeter between these two. I kind of like the brighter one, so I'm going to keep this one, Command 8. All right, next one a little too dark for my taste. Roofs or the ceiling still stinks. Too dark. Now here's the one where and this is where I expose for outside. And this is when I pointed the flash at everything. And again, the reason I pointed the flash is I'm using the picture. I'm only using the area outside of the window. So the way I'm going to merge these together, I need everything that isn't outside, I need it lit up. I mean lit up like a Christmas tree. So this is what I was pointing on this side. I know in the next shot, I specifically pointed over this direction. So let's save this one. And the next one, yep, pointed over here. Keep that one. And the next one is for the ceiling. This is when I extended my arm all the way up and just got the ceilings. Notice the shadows went away and everything is smooth. The only element I'm using from this photo is the ceiling. And last but not least, this is when I walked over to the other room and bounced the flash. So the only thing I'm going to use in this scene is this doorway. And there's a couple of ways that I could blend this in. One, I could just do a quick mask here, but that would be too easy. I'm going to show you another way that I would blend that in. I'm going to darken everything on this picture. Should only take me a couple seconds to do that. And then we're going to make this come through, and I'll show you how. So I'm going to go ahead and Command 8 on this one. So we didn't keep all of the photos, but we did keep, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 10. So now what we're going to do is open those 7 up in Photoshop, and I'll show you how I blend these. Okay, we're on the very first picture. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and Command A to select everything, Command C to copy, and I'm going to go to the next picture and Command V and put that in a layer. The bright one is now over the slightly darker one. All right, so what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the differences between the brights and the darks. That is too bright, I am going to blend in the bottom image. So, created a mask over here. It's a white mask. I'm going to go ahead and paint with black, and I'm going to use an opacity of around, let's say, 25. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and start working on this little bright spot here. And just for the fun of it, I'll go ahead and start blending in. Every time I click and drag, there's 25%. That way I can just control the increments. If you're saying, why didn't you just go to 100? You'll find out quickly that that'll mess you up. You'll end up going back to this eventually. All right, so we have blended in those 2 photos together. Now I'm going to right click and flatten these. I'm going to Command A and Command C to copy and paste this on the next photo, V. Command V. All right. Create a mask. I'm going to paint with black. Let's take a look at the difference here. All right. So the really good part that I want to use here is all, of course, in the sunroom, and maybe we'll darken up that floor just a little bit. So I'll stay at 25% opacity, painting with black. Let's go along this floor, darken it just a tad. Then let's go in here, darken that up a little bit so it all blends in real nice. Now I'm going to make my brush smaller. Just brush in a little bit on those bright spots there. All right, very good. All right, so now I'm going to right click and flatten this image. Command A, Command C, and pick the next image, Command V. Aha, I lied. Okay, this is our image where we're going to use the window. So, working in reverse. Here's the picture we just worked on. I'm going to take the photo that has the window shot. And I'm going to take that Command A, Command C, and I'm actually going to put that Command V on top of my image that I want to blend it with, okay? So notice the bright, I'm going to say ugly one, is on top, and the image that I'm working with is on the bottom. Let me show you how this is going to work. All right, so my next step is I'm going to hold down Option and click on the mask, which gives me a black mask. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from normal to darken. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my brush, and I have a black mask. So now I'm going to paint with white. What this will do is I'm brushing in anything darker than the image I'm working with. Now, if you'll remember that photo we put on top, everything was bright except out of this window. Well, let me show you if I drop this to 100 and painted with it. Watch what happens. Okay? So it applies that window exposure to all of the windows without messing with the outside or the inside of the window. So I was able to only darken up outside of the window. So let me flatten this image. Now, still working with this number that ends in 12. I want to go over and pick the other window shot I did for this area. Notice everything's bright right there. So I'm going to grab that image, Control A, Control C, and go back to the one I'm working with. I'm going to again click Option, the mask. Then I'm going to change this to darken. And now when I paint with white, don't mess that part up, it is going to darken up anything that is darker than the image that I'm blending in. Watch. As you can see, now we have pretty decent window exposure there. Flatten this. All right, so the last thing, or actually there's two more things we want to do. One is the ceiling. It's a little bright, but remember we did a shot just for the window. So I'm going to Control A, Control C, Command A, Command C, and Command V. I'm not on a PC at the moment, but you would think so the way I'm talking. I'm going to go ahead and put the layer we've been working with on top of my ceiling shot. All right, make a mask. Just a normal mask is going to be white, so I'm going to paint with black. And I'm going to drop my opacity, even though I'll probably take it to 100. We'll just go with 47 because it's there. And bring in nice, smooth ceiling. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. So right-click and flatten. All right, the only thing left to do, and to be quite honest, it really doesn't need it. It doesn't look so bad. Is this little doorway area? Remember, we took this picture where we lit up that room. All right. So there's two ways we could do this. We could simply copy this image, put it on top of this. I could do a quick mask over that door, and we could blend that right in. But I want to be a little abnormal on this one, if I'm not already. Okay, what I want to do is I want to bring in the brightest parts of this bottom photo. Well, this is bright, but I want to darken up all these other bright spots, so I'm not going to bring in everything that's bright. If that makes no sense to you, it shouldn't. I will explain that here in just a moment. So what I'm going to do is just make all these bright spots dark. I mean, I'm just painting with black, being stupid right now. I usually never have to do this, but in this case, it may work. All right, so everything is black there. Now I'm going to take our image, which is here, and I'm going to paste it on to this ridiculous looking image. And all I'm going to do is change the blending mode to lighten. And because the only thing lighter in the other picture is that doorway, that is the only thing that will change. If I didn't darken out the rest of this, well, all this over here was lighter, so that would have just come through and messed us all up. So I just fixed that. Then we're going to flatten this. Now this took a little while because I was breaking everything down move by move. You will learn to do some blending really, really fast, because you'll know exactly what you're looking for. Thanks for watching that video. Hopefully it helped you a little bit. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you feel like you've learned at least $1 worth of information from this, check out our Patreon page. And for all you new people out there, there's a lot of perks on the Patreon page for you to check out. See you in the next video.